This January, I've been working on this xo-fab hybrid cage to work with this Jeep Comanche. It's not normally supposed to work with the Comanche, but because the truck version of the Cherokee is the exact same from the doors forward, I thought I'd give it a shot. What we've done so far is put half the top together, doubled up one of the spreader bars, and we've got most of the inside taken care of. You watched my video last week, you saw me put these double spreader bars in so that it would move this entire halo forward a little bit. And the reason I wanted to do that is to get it to hang over the window just a little bit. So today I got these A-pillars I want to put on. Connects to the cage right there, and then gets welded right to the frame stiffener down here. But because I made these out of 1/8" tube, what I'm going to do is make a plate to go right here where this tube's going to get welded on. What that'll do is give me a really good place to weld to onto the rock slider with this A-pillar, and it'll also make that rock slider a little bit more rigid so that if I ever come down hard on a rock, it won't bend up too bad. And if you know me, you know that every metal plate that I make starts out as a Dollar Tree foam board. Now, unfortunately, I have to pull all the wires out of my Home Depot conduit so that I can move the conduit forward. By the way, if you like my videos, go ahead and subscribe, hit that notification bell for me. I would really appreciate it. Instead of having to re-drill this hole, maybe I just put a regular grommet and put some wire protector loom on here. It'll make this wire a lot easier to manage. I might add some more wire up here for lighting and a couple other things, so I think this is probably the best idea. I mean, it has been fun making everybody scratch their heads wondering, why did you put Home Depot conduit on your truck? Before I cut the end off of this A-pillar, I should probably make this plate out of 1/8 or 3/8 inch metal to get that welded onto here, and then I'll know how long to cut this. So I've got this bottom side cut pretty close, but I think what really needs to happen before I cut any more off the bottom is to make this top side fit a little better, since I have a gap on this side of it. On the other side it's touching. So let me clean up that a little bit, cope it a little better for how I have it set up, and then I'll set it back up here and we'll see how she looks. I was able to sand this coping right here, and also it lines up perfect with that crossbar that goes across the roof right there. And here's how it looks installed. Now, someone did mention to me that the gap right here is a little bit farther than you would normally see this cage on a Jeep Cherokee. But if this gap was smaller, I think I'd have trouble getting a windshield in and out, which this windshield does need replaced. And also, you can get your thumb underneath this when you go to get in and out. I left the gap enough room to grab onto the bar up here and enough room to grab on right here. In the future, if I ever have to weld the doors shut or make some permanent doors that don't open, me and whoever goes with me will be able to grab the cage and get in that way. Just makes things a lot easier. I'm gonna leave the bottom side of this A-pillar tacked on for now, and I'm gonna weld this one up as much as I can, because later we're gonna pull this whole cage out of the top and weld everything all at once. So now that this one's done, I just have to do the same to the other side, and I'll do that off camera because right now we're gonna jump to the bed. I'll be excited to get this cage done so I can finally put bed liner in here. My coil springs are right in front of these shock towers, and because of that, all the force from the rear of this truck is gonna push up on that one point there and on the other side. So I want to somehow tie the cage into the tops of the shock mounts themselves. That way all the force, instead of putting extra stress on the frame of this truck, it'll go into the cage instead and will be redistributed to the rock sliders and the rest of the truck. It won't be a perfect system, of course, but it'll at least take some of the stress off the frame on this thing. I haven't designed any of this cage in the back past the rear window. As far as the xo-fab cage is concerned, from the doors forward, it's pretty much complete. I can use some of the pieces that I have left over to help build back here, but you don't really have to buy those. You could just buy your own metal because it's mostly gonna be straight tube, maybe 2 bends, and that's it. So I'll do a full review of the xo-fab cage when I have this all completed. And I'll make sure that I put a list of parts that you could buy from xo-fab. That way, if you want to do a cage just like this, you could buy just those parts and build this for yourself. I kind of want to do something like go from this shock tower up to the cage like that. I think it'll be a tie-in right to where that B-pillar meets up with the halo. I think that'll give it the most amount of strength, and then on the ends of the halo I could tie those in somehow, make it look nice. I've also considered to just use the rest of the xo-fab cage to extend this back, kind of like an overlanding truck, and put all the fancy gear on it. But for this trail truck, I kind of want to keep everything low CG, and the less I have up here, the better. Got this bed lifted up right now because I need to measure this hole right here to see what tube will fit in that, because that will protrude through the bed and then the roll cage will weld to the tube. This is the top of my spring mount. That's not a perfect fit, but my plan is, because 1.5 inch tube fits inside an 1 3/4 tube, I can put 1.5 inch in here and then weld it up, and that'll be a nice strong joint. Time to open up that door, let some light in, some of this smoke out. What I have tacked in place right here is from they use a lot in the ATV cages, so the ATV cages can be removable. I've decided to put one on there, that way if I ever want to remove the bed, then I can. Okay, so here's what I've got going on. This is the halo extension piece for the Jeep XJ, and I'm using this in part with one of the spreaders that I'm going to cut up to go from the frame of the truck to the top of the halo. But enable for it to get to make that route, I need to bend it a little bit. This affordable bender, by the way, works way better if you clamp it down to a bench. I'm thinking of making a little cart for this so that I can clamp this down and then roll it out of the way when I'm not using it. Then I use half of this for the left, half for the right, and that'll go right to that point on the halo, and I can make that look really good. Now I'd like to weld this right to this point because this is the B-pillar that comes through the roof and welds right to this spreader bar. This is already notched one way, I just need to notch it from the bottom. That fits pretty goodly right in that joint right there. It kind of looks like somebody's backing up. It kind of looks like I don't have enough of this spreader bar to make a piece for both sides, but since I'm planning on putting one of those couplers in here, I think I'll put the couplers on both ends first and then take the remainder and see if it fits that way. I might just have a perfect amount. If not, I could always extend these using an insert. So adding these essentially adds about 30 inches to the whole thing. Cut that right there. I don't even need to cut it. So with this one done and that one done, I'll be able to start making an X-brace that goes here and there and make this whole cage really strong. Alright, I got these two tubes to make an X-brace on there. I'm going to get them all notched up and we'll see how that goes. Gotta find out what angle I'm notching these at. 53. 53s. Double check that. Oh, that's awesome. Okay. It took me a while and I learned a couple things for next time, but I've made these two tubes. I had to repair that one a little bit because I cut the bevel or the notch wrong on one and I had to twist it around. So, but I think I finally got it. Yeah, it's 100% not perfect. But I like it. You didn't see that. I've never tried this before. We'll lift up the entire back of my truck with my chain crane, and I don't know if I can handle it, but I'm about to find out. Seems to be okay. Huh. Well, that's pretty cool. That's pretty neat. My chain hoist can pick up the entire back of my truck. Seems like maybe it's not too heavy, huh? Bouncy. Check it out. Check it out. Removable roll cage. Yay! Or you could hang out with me. You don't get a camera. Want to be on TV? I made a removable roll cage. 100% not perfect, but I like it.